So I went on Facebook Marketplace and picked up this old PSP, and in this video we're going to mod it to install custom themes and homebrew games such as CSGO, Minecraft and COD Zombies. First off, let's take a look at the PSP bundle that I actually picked up from Facebook Marketplace. So this PSP bundle is supposed to include the PSP itself, some games, and interestingly a PSP camera that we're going to take a closer look at. This is actually a very nice official PlayStation carrying case. If we take a closer look in this compartment, there's actually quite a few UMD PSP games. I can see games such as Lego Batman and Little Big Planet. In the top compartment there's the 5V charging cable, and the PSP itself was hidden in a small side compartment. There it is. So the original PSP was released back in 2004, and this is probably a very nostalgic console for a lot of people. I remember back in 2009 getting my PSP 3000 for Christmas. This PSP here is the PSP 2000. You can tell that by the fatter ring around the PSP logo on the back of the console. Also it says PSP 2000 if you look behind the battery. I got lucky and found a lime green 1/2 GB memory stick Pro Duo inside the PSP. Why couldn't they just use SD cards like everyone else? So I tried turning the PSP on and was surprised to find that it still had battery, and it also had the Lego Batman game inside it, so you know what, let's jump into a game. And yes, this game is a classic and very nostalgic. I then wanted to go and test out the PSP camera that came with the bundle, so I drove to my local beach to take some photographs. So this version of the PSP camera had a 1.3 megapixel sensor, and I remember owning one of these back in the day, and it was definitely the coolest gadget. Imagine having a handheld game console that can also take photos and videos. The PSP was definitely ahead of its time. And here's what the video quality from the PSP looks like. Now finally, it's the part of the video you've all been waiting for. We're actually going to mod the PSP. So the question is, why would you actually want to mod a PSP? So I'm going to be installing some custom firmware onto this PSP, and this is going to unlock the ability for me to install homebrew games, which are games that I wouldn't usually be able to play on my PSP, as well as unlocking custom themes and apps. So I'm going to be installing the Arc 4 custom firmware, and I'm going to be following a website called PS Punk to install the software because it's actually the first time I've ever done it. Okay, so the first step is making sure that your PSP is on the latest firmware, either 6.60 or 6.61, and you can check what version your PSP is running by going to settings, system settings, then scrolling down to system information. Then it should display what software your PSP is currently running. So if you're already running the correct firmware, then you can skip this next step, but I'm now going to show you how to update the software on your PSP. So in the description I'll provide a link to the PS Punk page that also talks you through how to update the software on your PSP. And it'll also provide some download links. And whilst you're down in the description, give this video a cheeky like, it really helps out the channel. So go ahead and download the updated software from the PS Punk website. And once you've downloaded it, you'll either have a file that's called 660.pbp or 661.pbp. So then right click on the file and rename it eboot.pbp. So you're going to want to make sure that your PSP has a memory stick in it, and then you want to connect your PSP to your computer using USB. The old-fashioned USB mini type B connector, I believe. Then on your computer, navigate to the PSP folder, then to the game folder. Once here, create a new folder called update and drag the eboot.pbp file into that folder. Now back on your PSP, navigate to game, memory stick, and then your update should appear here. Then just click on the update and your PSP will restart, and then the update should be applied. There you go, you should have the latest firmware now, and your PSP is now ready to be modded. So now head back over to the PS Punk website and download the Arc 4 software, then extract the zip file. So inside the Arc 4 folder there'll be two useful folders. One's called arc_01234 and the other's called arc_loader. Now reconnect your PSP back to your computer, then navigate to the PSP folder, then the save data folder, then drag the arc_01234 into that folder. Then navigate back to the PSP folder, then to game, then drag across arc_loader into that game folder. Then disconnect your PSP and navigate to game and then memory stick. So you should see an icon that says Arc Loader, so click on it and then it should start installing Arc software onto your PSP. Once it's finished installing, your PSP will restart, and you can check that it's been installed correctly by heading over to System Settings, System Information, and it should display Arc 4 Live, and that will tell you that it's installed. So there you go, your PSP is now officially modded. If you want, you can now go ahead and install custom themes, homebrew games, but I do want to mention that this version of Arc 4 isn't permanent, so if your PSP was to turn off, when you boot it back up, it won't have Arc 4 on it, so you would then have to reinstall Arc using your computer. It's a bit like a tethered jailbreak on an iPhone. Just quickly, if you're enjoying modifying this PSP and you want to support the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. We've just hit 6,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. And don't forget to drop a like. Anyway, sorry about this cheeky plug. Let's get on with the video. So I'm now going to show you how to make the Arc software on your PSP permanent. It does involve a few extra steps, but it means that you're able to restart your PSP and not have to use a computer to reinstall Arc onto your PSP. So go back to the Arc 4 folder that you've already downloaded, click on it. There should be a PSP folder, click on that. And then there should be another folder called Arc CIPL. Then reconnect your PSP back to your computer. Then on the PSP's directory, select PSP, then game, then drag the arc.cipl folder across. Then exactly the same as before, jump back onto your PSP, head over to game, then memory stick. And now, as well as Arc Loader, you'll see Arc CIPL Flasher. Click on it and then eventually you'll see something that looks like command prompt, and this will make you feel like a proper hacker. You then have to press X to install CIPL. So there you go, you now have a permanently modded PSP. To double check that you've actually done this correctly, go back to System Information and it should say Arc 4 CIPL. So if this video has worked for you and your PSP is now modded, be sure to drop us a like and a cheeky subscribe. It really helps the channel out. We're on the road to 7,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. Let's carry on. So it's now time to mess around with your new modded PSP. You can install plugins, custom themes, homebrew games. There's now a whole load of unlocked potential with your PSP, and obviously I'm just scratching the surface with this video. So the first thing I decided to do was install a custom theme. I found a pretty cool looking COD 4 theme that I decided to use. So to get this theme to work, I first had to install a plugin called CXMB. But after I'd got this plugin installed, then it was quite easy to install themes. Next, I decided to install some custom games. So I found a website called HomeBrew that has hundreds of homebrew games for the PSP. Essentially, these homebrew games tend to be made by smaller developers and were never officially licensed for the PSP. But now that your PSP is modded, you can now install them. The first game that caught my eye was this remake of CSGO. So I downloaded it and the installation process was pretty simple. It was just a case of dragging it to the PSP game directory. So obviously this remake of CSGO isn't the same as the PC version, but it is pretty cool. You're able to walk around Dust 2 and use different guns. I then downloaded a Minecraft clone called leoclarkemedicine, which is basically just a stripped down version of Minecraft creative mode. And I'm leaving my favourite till last. I then downloaded a Call of Duty Zombies remake. This did only come with a map Nacht Untoten. To be honest, the main thing holding this game back are the controls, but the fact that this is running on a 20-year-old PSP is very impressive. And if you want to see me get to a high round on this game, let me know in the comments section below. I do actually think this Zombies game would benefit from running on the PSP 3000 with the higher specs, because I am getting some lag spikes, and also it would be nice to have a bit of a brighter screen. Anyway, that wraps this video up. If you have enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop us a like, and if you do want to see me explore more homebrew games on the PSP, let me know in the comments section below. Anyway, I'll see everyone in my next video.